Hello, everyone, and welcome to a double shot of Business Central, episode 6. I'm Michael and Trevor Toll, the marketing manager over here at Solution Systems. Solution Systems is a gold certified ERP partner, and we're also a data analytics and cloud partner who specializes in ERP. I'm here with my co-host Ken Sebahar. How you doing, Ken?
Hey, great, Michael. Happy to be here as always. We're talking a little bit about ourselves here.
Yeah, we are.
Saying our experience. So I realize that people may not know who we are or what we do. So I've been at Solution Systems implementing NAV and now Business Central since 2001. Wow. So go way back to version 2.6 as an implementer. And even still today, I go out and meet with clients and we talk about solutions and maybe customizations that we may need, or add-ons or apps, right, that they might use. So I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day, and I love talking with you and sharing all this information about Business Central.
All right. So did you notice I said a double shot of Business Central?
I did.
I used your tip.
Yep.
That's because we got so much Business Central news this week. So I think we'll be talking about Business Central news. We're going to be reviewing some sort of beer as usual, discussing cash flow forecasting with Cortana Intelligence. We're going to talk about a certain search and replace app, and also a bunch of other stuff. So.
Yep, and a double shot. We're here. We're about a week later than usual. So we usually record this at the very end of each month and try to make it available so it's available, around the very first of the month. Today is Friday, October 4th. We decided to wait because of all the news and announcements related to Business Central. So there is a lot to go through. We're going to hit that in the shot and the double shot section. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing is we're splitting up, right? We're going to do the first shot is going to be for Business Central Cloud, mm-hmm. and then we're going to do a second shot for Business Central on-premise and talk about all the new announcements.
Very nice. So now I know everybody loves our beer segment review, but before we get into that, I actually want to let everybody know that BCUG is coming up, NAVUG's coming up, and that Ken, you're actually going to be leading a session there called, what's it called? Business Central Cloud or On-Premise, differences in these two dynamic flavors. So if you're going to be at BCUG, NAVUG, get out there, check out Ken, attend this session.
We'll be there. We're a BCUG group sponsor. Yeah. So we're the pen and paper sponsor. So we'll be there, have a presence, and I look to learn, as always, when I do, from other users. And Microsoft has a big presence there. So it should be a fun week down in Orlando.
Now on to the beer.
Yes.
So on to the beer. One of my favorite parts, maybe? Definitely your favorite part?
Definitely my favorite part. Yeah.
What do we got today? You brought in some organic beer. I've never had an organic beer.
So it is October. We're heading into the fall. We're kind of done with the summer beers.
Sadly.
So today we have Samuel Smith's Organic Chocolate Stout. So it's actually a really beautiful presentation, I think. It's a 4-pack of 12-ounce bottles. Really, pretty cool looking bottles. It's a 4-pack of these, $12 at the local liquor store. So you're paying $3 a beer.
Yeah. This is a craft beer, 100%.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So usually, just to take you all behind the scenes a little bit here, usually we're just sitting here, we just pop open the bottles and drink it right out of the bottle. But today we've saved opening them to right now, and we have some glasses here because of the fact that it is a chocolate stout. We're pouring them here, and you get beautiful, nice creamy head on the top.
Yep.
Dark
colored,
chocolate
sure.
colored.
No doubt about it. How does it smell?
I can smell a little bit of sweetness in there for sure.
Yeah.
So it says Samuel Smith's Organic Chocolate Stout is dessert in a glass. Its bouquet offers an intoxicating mix of toasted malt and cocoa powder incredibly smooth and creamy. Expect a delicious mix of vanilla, brown sugar, and milk chocolate on the finish.
It sounds like the perfect fall drink according to that description.
It does.
So do you know on that package here it says fermented in stone? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, so
That's
I
pretty
believe
cool.
they call that a Yorkshire Square, Michael.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A unique fermenting vessel originated in England. So they actually fermented this in a stone vat. Now, today some of these things are slate or even stainless steel, but they're these square cubic stone containers. And they're designed specifically to handle how the yeast gets processed as it's fermenting in there.
And as we've gone through these different beer reviews, I'm learning more and more about the importance of yeast now and what it does to the beer and how it makes a big difference.
Right.
I like how it says this is brewed with well water. The original well sunk in 1758 is still in use, but the hard water is drawn from 85 feet underground. Anybody's ever had to deal with well water, the deeper, the better. When it's not as deep, you get that irony taste. When it's down deep, it's pretty pure and clean.
Yep. So I think it's pretty really tasty. It's actually not as chocolatey as I was expecting.
No, I get more of the I guess the toasted malt.
Correct. Yeah. So and I was looking up a little bit. So what makes a stout a stout? Right?
Oh, I do not know.
It's the toasting that does it. So it's that roasted flavor from the roasted barley in the grain.
Yeah.
That's what really makes it a stout.
Really?
Years and years ago, when someone said stout, they might have meant like a stronger beer, like a porter or something that's like 10 or 12% alcohol.
Yeah.
As like a stout. But over time, that changed from meaning strong to meaning this toasted or roasted malt flavor.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised with the alcohol count for this. I believe it's 5%.
5%.
I thought it was going to be more when I heard just the name and whatnot. Because like you said, I associate stouts with being a little bit more strong.
Strong, right?
Yeah. So.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, definitely. Looks like a Guinness.
Yep.
Right. People, it's black,
100%.
dark, in there, but I think it tastes pretty good.
So you got a rating for it?
I do. I'll go. I'm gonna go 80. No,
80.
let's go. No. Let's go 75. I'm gonna go 75.
75.
Only because it's the chocolate, the sweetness in there. What I've come to learn, even as we've been doing these podcasts and we're trying all these different beers, is that the sweetness kind of doesn't agree with me.
Oh yeah.
My stomach as much. So after one or two or three of those, it really starts to get to me a little bit.
I definitely think it's one of those beers that you want to pair it with something. It's not like a daily drinker for me. You know what I mean?
A special occasion type
Exactly,
thing.
yeah. So I'm going to give it a rating of about... I'll tell you what, compared to Guinness for me, it's pretty good. So I'm going to go 80. I'm going to go 80 with the rating.
All right. Mark, put it on the tote board.
Yep, it'll be out there.
All right. So we'll keep enjoying these, and we'll come back, and we'll hit you with the first shot.
Back for the first shot of our podcast. Ken, I know you want to talk a little bit about Business Central in the cloud and some of the updates and what's going on, because there's a lot of news, right?
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to just talk about the cloud here, and then later we'll talk about on-premise, what's new, just to kind of keep all of this straight.
Right.
But yeah, on October 1st, Microsoft officially announced the release of the Dynamics 365 Business Central 2019 Release Wave 2.
Wow.
Right. So these are the fall updates.
Yep.
That we've been anticipating for a while. This is also known, by the way, under the hood as version 15. So for any developers out there, right, the last update that came out in April was version 14. This is officially version 15 now. Various features will be deployed into the Business Central environment between now and March of 2020.
Oh, so they did put a
So most of a lot of the things are going to be implemented now, and there's actually a link that we will put up on our podcast site, up on Solution Systems.
Yep, in the show notes.
But we will have a link up there that talks about the planned features, and on that list of planned features, it shows the expected date
for each one.
And most of these are anticipated that they're going to implement them in October, but there are some where it's either to be determined or future.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say too, your entire tenant might not be updated in October, or is it guaranteed to be all in October?
I don't think it's guaranteed to be October. I think the plan is to get all of them updated sometime in October.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the previous roll-up updates in April, we know that some of the environments did get updated in May.
Yeah.
So it's possible that some of these things might extend into November.
Don't panic if yours hasn't been updated yet.
Right. Yep. And in one of the ways, there is a new icon. Oh well, before I go there, you now for sure can get a new preview sandbox environment for version 15.
You can.
So if you go into the admin tool or call your partner, you can go in and you can create a new sandbox. You can create multiple sandboxes, right? So you can keep your existing one and then create a new one that's a preview of this version 15 and then start going in and looking at all the different features.
We've actually got a blog post on our website, and Solution Systems website, showing you how to create the preview sandbox to get all the features for the October release. It's 6 steps. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
So.
And if you haven't yet, you definitely should go in and set up notifications. So the notifications within Business Central on the admin side allow you to receive an email to tell you when your environment is going to be updated, and then also if there are any issues while it was updating, and then of course once it's successfully updated, another email. So. Because
there always could be some issues with the updating of the environment, right? With extensions and whatnot.
Yep. There's a new logo. So as part of the release, right? New logo. Do you like or dislike the new logo?
I'm more of a fan of the old logo. I think it's a little bit more clear. But you're right. It does kind of look like a crop circle.
Yeah, I like the new one, right? The crop circle alien symbol is now gone, and now we have a more, less specific looking icon.
Yeah, I guess it means all connected. It looks like a circle with a couple dots.
Similar type thing, just less crop circle-ish.
Yeah, it's less crop circle-ish.
There you go. So there's a lot out there. It's most of the new features, it looks like, will be deployed in October. And we have had a couple environments where we have customers that have extensions where we've received notices back that the new updates can't be applied because of extensions that have been deployed or apps that have been deployed in the environment.
Yeah.
So in that case, we have our development team, our support team goes in, reviews what those apps are. Sometimes they just have to make some slight adjustments to it or update the version of that app or extension that's been added in order to allow those updates to be applied.
So it could be a quick fix.
Yep.
All right. And then I also noticed that I got an update for important changes for the Business Central connector for Microsoft Flow and Power Apps. So if anybody's using Microsoft Flow and Power Apps and your Flow is not working, don't panic. You basically just have to copy the Flow and then re-implement it, and everything should work. It's just the connector that's bad. We'll also have a blog post linked in the show notes showing you how to do it with the steps to take. And
in my demo environment, I had some flows set up. Because they were generic in nature, I just basically deleted mine and re-added them in.
Yeah.
But if you do have a bunch of them, there are instructions available online where you can go in and it'll actually show you what you need to update or how you can copy those and redeploy.
And do it, yeah. And also, I'd like to touch on a little issue last month with Business Central. A couple of our customers and whatnot would go into their Dynamics homepage, and it's usually how most people access Business Central. And they look for the Business Central app and click on it and try to get in their tenant. The app had disappeared. So all you really need to do is try clicking the sync button. Sometimes that works and pulls the app back up. If not, you can always use the link home.dynamics.com, and that should take you right in your Business Central tenant. We'll also put the detailed information in the show notes.
Yep. Yeah, there's multiple, too many to go through today, but there's also several other blog articles out there that have been released on the Partners Central, Business Central blog site with updates that have happened. And also some 20-some additional new apps.
27, yeah.
27
I
new
think for
apps.
August, though. I didn't see the September one, did you?
I have not, no.
So I just saw the August one, yeah. Still too early for September's updates.
Yep, so some new apps out there. You can click on that link, check out what those new apps are.
So we want to talk to you a little bit about the on-premise version of Business Central and its updates. I guess we'll start with the first one that I see is at the end of the day, October 1st, 2019, no download installation files were available. Have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, so just as of a couple days ago, you couldn't download the new version 15 for on-premise yet. So we're kind of checking that out. It may even be there today.
Yeah.
At this point, but if you're looking to download the on-premise version, we're going to keep checking, and it looks like it's there. But I just noticed that along with the announcement that they released, we went out to check to see if we could download it and get a demo environment set up, and it wasn't there yet. So
sometime in October, hopefully.
Might be there already. Yeah. But this release, this version 15 release, for those Business Central or NAV users that are listening, that are out there that are maybe looking to upgrade to Business Central on premise, this is a pretty significant release.
Yeah.
That's out here, and there's two reasons there's two changes that are part of this that are really significant. The first and the major change is that there is no longer a seaside traditional NAV development environment client available with this release.
So it's all being switched to Visual Studio Code and AL and whatnot.
Right. So no objects, no object designer.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift for many existing NAV or even Business Central on-premise customers that may have object changes in there to migrate to the full modern development environment.
Would you say most NAV users have object changes?
Absolutely.
It's kind of the point, NAV.
Yeah, there's. I'm not sure if I've ever seen an NAV environment without object changes at some level.
Yeah. So this then applies to everybody basically that's using NAV that wants to upgrade eventually.
Right. So along those lines, right? You go, oh my gosh. So what do I do? Well, if you still have the ability to upgrade to Business Central version 14, which is effectively the April 2019 release.
Yeah.
Because that version still has objects in it. So what you can do is you could upgrade to Business Central version 14, bring over your object changes into there, get on to Business Central and take advantage of a lot of those new features and functionality, and then migrate those custom objects or apps or add-ons into extensions over time.
So now if they choose to upgrade to version 14 of Business Central, will they have access to the Windows client?
With version 14, yes.
Okay, so it might make the transition a little bit easier because that mimics a little bit more of what traditional NAV looks like, right?
Exactly, right. So we believe customers should seriously consider moving to Business Central version 14 as soon as possible. And the reason is exactly because of that. You still have the Windows client available, you still have objects available, yet you also have the new modern development environment available, and you also have the web client, an app available. So you can start transitioning to all of those things over time.
It'll make it a little bit easier for you.
Absolutely, right? So that's definitely what. Now, new implementations, right? Of course, go to version 15.
Right, if you're starting fresh,
all
exactly.
Extensions. Yeah. It's probably a good way to go. So we definitely would do that. But we know for existing customers, you may need to make that upgrade just to Business Central version 14.
Right.
kind
And
of-
version 13 will not be available, correct?
Correct. Version 13 really no longer available. We've even talked to a lot of add-on partners and apps. They're not maybe even supporting the version 13
Yeah.
apps anymore. So, if
Do you, sorry.
So yeah, if you have an opportunity, move to version 14.
And do you have any idea how long version 14 will be available for?
Microsoft's typical release support plan is 5 years of full support. I don't know specifically that's what they're saying, but according to other software, including Dynamics, SQL Server, Windows, whatever, 5 full years of support per major release.
Okay.
And then 5 additional years of limited support.
Okay. Now, they can purchase version 14 until October 2020?
Correct. So this is a little bit unusual. Usually, once a new release comes out, there's maybe a small period of time where it overlaps and you can actually go purchase the old version.
Yeah.
In this case, October 2020
Yeah.
is the point
It's a
where
year.
that's available. That's a year from now.
Yeah. So Microsoft understands that version 14 is probably the release that they want their previous nav customers to upgrade to, just to help with the transition.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And even if a new customer were to purchase today, they would purchase officially version 15, but then we would be able to provide them with a license key for version 14,
Oh,
so that version 14 could be implemented.
nice.
Yep.
So I see that here that there is, for version 14, there's 2 cumulative updates available, May and in August.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different. Again, if you've been following on-premise Nav or Business
Yeah.
Central.
Usually it's monthly, right?
Right, monthly cumulative updates. So because it's 5 years of full support, we're used to seeing a grand total of 60 cumulative update files
Yeah.
be released by Microsoft for each release. But for version 14, just one in May and one in August. So to me, what it looks like is they're moving to more of a quarterly cumulative update schedule for the on-premise product.
It's good and it's bad, I guess.
The reality is that most people do not apply monthly cumulative updates.
Yeah. Just because of fear of the unknown.
Just
Too
that
new.
it takes effort usually to apply object changes, reinstall software versions on the server or users' workstations. The reality is it probably shouldn't impact too many people too much.
Well, that's good. So why don't you tell them a little bit about what's going on with Dynamics NAV subscription prices?
Yeah, so with NAV and running subscription for on-premise, there's been a price list available, and effective with this new release, if you're running an on-premise subscription, monthly subscription, those prices will now be the same as the Business Central pricing per user.
Okay.
So $70 for an Essentials user, $100 for a premium. Previously, those NAV users, I believe, were slightly lower.
65 maybe, something like that?
Yeah, they were a little lower price point, but they are aligning all of those, the on-premise subscription pricing with the Business Central cloud pricing at this point.
Makes sense, for sure.
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier for everyone. It also makes it similar no matter which product you're versioning, cloud or on-premise. It's the same software at the end of the day.
Right.
So, same price.
Why make it? Yeah, exactly. And I see that we're going to be adding a Business Central Ready to Go link in our show notes. Business Central Ready to Go is basically everything you need to get started with implementing and deploying Business Central, either online or on-premise.
Exactly. It's a great reference to go to.
And to go along with that, I noticed that if you go to the Microsoft Learning training website for Business Central, they now have new content there to educate yourself, and I checked it out. There's about 65 different learning entries that you can access for free to learn about Business Central.
Great.
So we'll include a link with that as well. And got anything else over there?
Yeah,
For
the only other thing I
on-prem?
wanted to point out, because we say, well, the on-premise and cloud is the same software, right? So we talk about that, and the reality is that there are differences between those.
Yeah.
So let me find my notes here.
And a lot of differences are probably, if I had to guess, with like the access to Power Apps, the access to Office 365, all things that are cloud-based they want to work with on-premise. There's got to be more to it than it just being completely integrated, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So there are things like editing in Excel, for example. This is a feature that for on-premise, it's available, but it requires Azure Active Directory as your authentication method. Right. So that means some extra work, some extra steps need to be taken. And if you're not already on Azure, you at least need to be running Azure Active Directory.
Right.
This is, our IT group here helps customers with that.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like a sort of a backdoor built-in security feature to where it has to know that it's using your Excel environment as opposed to just whatever's on your computer.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, just they want strong security authentication methods, and so that's part of it. Things other similar to that edit in Excel is integration with Power BI, right? If you're on premise, you need to be running Azure Active Directory as your authentication method, and there's also additional setup that has to get going.
Yeah.
The Outlook add-in is the same thing. And then there are also features that are not intended really by Microsoft to be used in the on-premise solution.
So clear-cut differences then between on-premise and the cloud.
Yeah, so for example, like if you want to use Microsoft Flow in Business Central, the Flow templates that are provided by Microsoft are not designed to be run with the on-premise solution.
Wow.
Right. The external accountant license is not available with the on-premise solution.
That's pretty big too.
Yeah.
It's very popular in the online world. So it's just another user then for Business Central on-premise?
Yep, exactly. So 3 actually that are available with the cloud.
Correct,
so you can use 3 external licenses, maybe an outside
like
IT firm, maybe 2 accountants or something. You also, there are default Power BI reports that are embedded in Business Central. When you're on the cloud, these charts are automatically set up and integrated and available.
Yeah.
With on-premise, those are not deployed or actually supported by Microsoft within Business Central.
Yeah, so once you log in, they're not there.
Right. You can, of course, use Power BI and pull data.
But you got to build your own reports for it.
Right. You're creating your own data sets and queries and using Power BI with Business Central. It's just that those little standard fact box Power BI charts aren't deployed.
So I see, though, that one of the things listed is sandbox environments. Sandbox environment that you can use to develop extensions for the new developer experience cannot connect to an on-premise deployment. Have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, so this has to do with the new modern development environment and how that works.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit over,
Podcast.
Podcast notes. But basically,
it's more of a video
just
tutorial.
a limitation of using the new Visual Studio containers with a sandbox. And then, of course, there are some new machine learning or artificial intelligence features within Business Central Cloud, such as late payment prediction and cash flow forecasting, where Cortana Intelligence is used to analyze and break down the data. Those are not supported within the on-premise version.
That's huge.
So you actually could go out, and again, we can set up a link. There is a instructions out there. So you would have to set up your own machine learning account with Microsoft, and then basically build this set of sample code to your environment to do it. So definitely you need a developer if you want to incorporate any of that artificial intelligence.
That's pretty big. I mean, that's kind of the wave of the future, right? AI and everything.
Yeah, so absolutely. Yeah. So I think more and more you're going to see Microsoft putting more and more of that type of thing into the cloud solution.
Yeah.
Which is going to
just because they can control it and make sure it works and whatnot.
Yeah. So yeah, those are. I think that about sums it up for the on-premise our on-premise listeners out here.
Yep.
But yeah, big news. All the other thing, I'm not sure if I think we missed this. So we got so distracted with the development environment. So the two most major changes with version 15 that's just coming out. One is no development environment, which we just beat to death. And two is no Windows client.
Yeah, it's gone.
So the user interface is now the web client, access running through any browser, or the app, which can be installed on any phone, any tablet, or Windows 10 device.
Right. So, all right, stay tuned for our next segment. So for our next segment, we're going to be talking about a cool little Business Central feature, cash flow forecasting with Cortana Intelligence. So what is cash flow forecasting? I've actually got a little definition here that I found, and it says cash flow forecasting is the process of obtaining an estimate or forecast of a company's future financial position and is a core planning component of financial management within a company. Would you agree with that, Ken?
I would. And I would also agree that not enough of our customers that we see using Business Central are taking advantage of this feature.
Yeah. Just because I don't want to knock accounting people, but maybe they're just not as technologically advanced, or don't like to adapt technology as much as other departments.
Perhaps, and I would call it, it's not a core required function.
Yeah.
That must be done, right, to close your books each month. So it's kind of like
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
It's an extra thing above and beyond just your typical month-end close type process.
So in Business Central, is it hard to set up the cash flow analysis?
Michael, there's 5 easy steps, bud.
Wow, not too bad.
So yeah, and actually, so the 5 steps. So I do want to go through this now. I'm going to go through the 5 steps, but there is an assisted setup wizard that you can walk through. So if you just go into Business Central, search for assisted setup, and there's one called Setup Cash Flow Forecast.
Oh, really?
And it walks you through it. It asks you a few questions. You answer those with different GL accounts or amounts or whatever it is, your bank. And that actually completes steps 1, 2, and 3 of 5 steps.
So really, you've got 2 steps to set it up, and
you really have
not
one.
That popular.
You really
just
have one because the first 3 are done for you, and the 5th step is just looking at the results.
Oh, nice.
Right. So yeah, it's really easy to set up. I would say within an hour, easily.
Anybody can do it.
I've set this up numerous times, Michael. I don't like to ever say that anyone can do anything
because there's always somebody who can't do it, right?
Yeah. But I would tell you that with the assisted setup, if you stick with the default values that are in there, and a few manual setups, you can have at least a pretty decent 30-day cash forecast.
Wow.
Ready for you.
It's amazing. Great feature of Business Central. So what's step 1, sir?
Step 1. So the first thing, and this is, it's a little bit unexpected, is you actually set up what's called a cash flow chart of accounts. And the cash flow chart of accounts, is...
live.
Yeah, thank you. Chart of accounts is actually just nothing more than a list of all of your cash inflows and your cash outflows.
Okay.
So things like your receivables, your payables, your even open purchase orders, open sales orders, your current bank balance, and so on. So you're identifying what are all of these different inbound and outbound sources and uses of cash.
Okay.
Okay. And the assisted setup wizard will auto set up several of these for you.
Just recognizes them.
Right.
And,
Okay. Step 2 is there is a cash flow setup table that defines your overall settings for how you want to do cash flow forecasting. And so you're able to associate specific cash flow chart of accounts with entities like receivables, payables, service orders, purchase orders, fixed assets, jobs, and tax.
Okay.
Right. You also, on the cash flow setup page, you also define the period that you want to forecast for by default. So when you look at your cash flow forecast, do you like looking at it in weeks or months? So how do you want to do that? And then finally, do you want the Cortana artificial intelligence enabled?
And it's just a little switch to
turn it on.
A little toggle, turn it on.
Right? So that's step 2. Again, if you do the assisted setup wizard, that is done for you. You might want to go in there and just check that the Cortana Intelligence is turned on. Step 3, you actually create a cash flow forecast. So you can create one per year or just one default, so to speak, cash flow forecast that's used for your organizations. And there's a few setups in there, one of which is show the chart on the roll center.
Oh,
so
nice.
You can actually flip this switch and it then just adds the cash flow forecast right to your roll center for you.
Beautiful. You can see it every time you log in.
Yeah. And again, that is done for you if you use the assisted setup wizard. Okay. So step 4, this is the main task associated with using cash flow forecast.
And this isn't part of the assisted setup?
And this is not. What you do is you actually go into that cash flow forecast and you run a function called suggest entries.
Okay.
It goes out and it looks at your bank and it looks at your orders and receivables and payables. You can also set up recurring expenses or recurring revenues, things like your rent or payroll that are recurring every week or month or 2 weeks, right? It grabs all that and it pulls it into this cash flow worksheet. In the worksheet, you can revise those entries, you can delete them, change the amounts, whatever you want to do. And then at the end, you register those entries. The registration of those entries is what builds the cash flow report.
Okay.
Or chart, right? And you can run this process, this cash flow generation, as often as you want. You could do it daily, in theory. What we find is that most people, we suggest people make it a part of their month-end process.
Okay, so monthly.
Do your normal month-end process and then regenerate a fresh cash flow forecast for the next 30 days. Yep.
Have you seen it to where it's done more frequent than that?
Weekly.
Yeah.
Weekly, if you have really high turnover on your orders and your order volume might change day by day, you might get different results. But in most environments, we see it as a monthly type task, if it's being used at all. Like I said, I think a lot more people could use this.
So one more step, huh?
Yeah, the last step is just to view your cash flow chart. And again, if you put this on your Roll Center, you just go to your Roll Center page, and you're going to see a beautiful cash flow forecast chart where every unique use or source of cash is identified with a different color. So you have different bars, and you can have an indicator line that shows if your total cash is expected to go up or go down. Yeah. And then you can actually drill down into those little bars on the chart and see what makes up. So if you say my payables is going to cause me to go negative in 2 weeks on my cash flow, you can click on that payables link, and you might discover that there's one huge invoice out there for a vendor that's going to cause me to go negative in my cash position. Nice. Now I can take action on that. I can maybe at least know that I'm going to maybe hit my line of credit, or I can negotiate with the vendor to maybe push that payment out 2 weeks to avoid that negative cash position. Either way, I now at least have an awareness that, hey, I may have a problem here, or I could go collect more cash if that's possible.
And that's all right from the Roll Center.
Right.
So I think it's important to point out, though, that this does require historical data for Cortana to actually forecast the cash flow. So
correct.
Personally, we do not know what Cortana's algorithm is or whatever, how much historical data it needs.
Yep, that length of data that's out there. We run it. If you were to run it in a Business Central demo environment, for example, you're going to probably get a message that says there's not enough historical data for Cortana Intelligence to create a forecast.
Right.
But
we'll look into it, and if we can find out We'll put it in the show notes and whatnot.
Yep. The only other note is that if you're running Business Central Cloud, this is automatically enabled and available for you. If you're running, as we talked about in our last segment, I believe, if you're running on premise, then there's some more work that you need to do to actually get this set up and get a subscription to the Cortana Intelligence. Right, set up an account. There's a forecasting model for Microsoft Dynamics out there that you can use and publish as an API.
Yeah, but you don't need to worry. It's possible for on-premise, so it just takes a couple more steps.
Yep. So of course, cloud makes it easy.
So hopefully everybody goes back, checks out the 5 steps, and starts using it. We want to hear all of the reviews about how well it works.
I'd love to hear
it. Our next segment, we're going to be talking about team users and some of the advantages of using a team user and what a team user can actually do, what permissions it has and whatnot. I know that Ken has recently had some good experience with this, setting it up and trying it out. And it's a little bit different than Nav, would you say? The actual limited
so
user Nav?
What used to be called limited users. So basically the idea is Microsoft, you have full users, which can do anything, post entries, read entries, create entries, and then what's now called a team user. Team users significantly more limited, and it's not always 100% clear what those limitations are.
Especially because I think team users started out with Business Central and Dynamics 365 for financials just as read-only capabilities. Right? Now they've evolved to a little bit more.
Yeah. So if you were to look at the new, there's a new Business Central license guide that's released October 2019.
Okay.
And there's a detailed explanation here. And in a nutshell, what it says a team member can do is read any data in Business Central, update existing data and entries in Business Central, approve or reject tasks in all workflows assigned to a user, create, edit, or delete a quote, create, edit, or delete personal information, enter timesheets, use Power Apps, and then also up to 15 custom entities.
So the big one, though, update existing data and entries in Dynamics 365 for Business Central.
Right.
Is that clear cut? Does that mean anything that's existing you can update?
No, that's a little vague, Michael. So what it means is generally that a team member cannot create a new customer, cannot create a new item, cannot create a new invoice. Okay. But if there's a customer that exists and I'm a team member, I can go in and I can modify the address or the phone number on the customer record or change a field on the item.
All the field.
Right.
Okay.
But where it gets a little gray is as a team user, what I found is even though I cannot create a new item, I can create item cross-references, item substitutions, I can create item comments. There's some other things I can do, but I cannot create item price records. So
it's lacking consistency.
So there's a little bit of consistency there, but the general rule is that a team member can read anything and they can update existing data. They could also run any number of reports.
Are they able to post anything?
No,
not at all.
Right, because that's writing or inserting new records.
Right.
So they cannot post transactions. So we just wanted to kind of go through that. And so, for example, what we found, and also the fact that they can create sales quotes, right? I could go in as a team user, I can create a sales quote document, everything I need to.
You can create a sales quote.
But I cannot create a sales order. So if I'm a salesperson, I have an existing customer, and I'm on site, and I want to place an order for them, I can't create the order. I could create it, though, as a quote.
Okay.
And then maybe send a notification or a workflow to someone else who then would kind of approve that quote and convert it into an order, right? So those are some of the kind of nuances that are out there. We kind of would suggest, because there is a significant reduced price on a team user, our recommendation would always be to, if you think you can maybe get away with using a team license, add one.
Right.
Set up a user log in, see what you can do.
Because the team user's 8 hours, I believe. So
Yeah.
that's a big difference between either 70 or
Huge.
100.
It's like a 10 times more
Right.
cost-effective price on the users. So I just thought, since we've kind of been doing some work on that for some existing customers recently, I thought we would share a little bit on that to kind of maybe add a little bit of clarity around the team user permissions.
Very nice. Very, very informative. So this week's app segment, we decided to try out an app called Search and Replace by Navida, maybe? Information System. I'll tell you what, I picked it up, I tried to install it right from the get-go just so I can try it out. And right from the get-go, I had a deployment error. It said that I was not able to install it because the extension is not available for your release. Check the country and version availability in the extension marketplace. I wasn't able to find the extension marketplace.
So I assume that maybe what you were experiencing was what we might just call the user error. So I went in and I also tried to install it, and I actually ended up getting the same results as you.
Well, I thank you for the vote of confidence from the get-go. But yes, you did get the same error that I did. So basically what this is supposed to do, though, is it allows you to, it's kind of like the word feature where you can find something and replace multiple things, with a couple clicks. You can find the whole word only. It's match case, so it specifies the case should be considered while searching for the value.
Yeah.
And you can replace the whole field. In theory, it would be nice, but I don't know if it replaces it throughout the entirety of Business Central or just whatever card it's on.
I wish I could help you.
Yeah. So, but, users are going to experience a lot of this, I would imagine, in the future. You won't know what country it's for or if it's compatible with the version of Business Central you have. So, luckily, there's a couple other different tools out there that could be used. One would be Rapid Start. You want to tell us a little bit about Rapid Start, Ken?
Yeah, so I think, in looking at this app, what it really adds is significant, makes it really easy for the user. Like you said, if you're in Microsoft Word, you've got your little replace button up at the top. You can do find all, replace all, or whatever, right? It's that same idea that makes it just very easy for the user. The reality, though, is that you really don't need this because of several options available. The first is Rapid Start, which is the ability to grab a table of data, pick which fields you want, export those fields into Excel.
Yeah.
Use Excel, which has a replace or whatever, those functions, and then you import the changes back in, and it validates the data as it brings it back in.
Right.
So that's, when you say if a customer has to maybe about 1,000 customers, and you have to update the salesperson from Sue to Bob.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you could do that through Rapid Start.
And the beauty of that is that that you're doing it for like whatever you're replacing, customer name or whatever it is.
Right.
With this app, we're not sure if it's global or what it does. Yeah.
Yeah. The other option is if you're using Office 365, you have the Edit in Excel button. So you could pull up a list of customers, filter your list, and then hit the Edit in Excel button from that, let's say, customer list page. Make your changes in Excel and publish those changes again with validations back right into the data.
Yeah.
So
quickly, easy.
Yeah, using Excel and Office's global replace feature. So I think when I look at our end results from picking this app and doing it, is two things. The first is that the app may have issues, right? So we always want to suggest that if you're going to install an app, install it into a sandbox environment first.
Yeah.
Test it out. Most of the apps give free trials, so you can try it out in a new sandbox environment. You don't like it, blow away the whole sandbox environment. No harm, no foul.
Right.
But the second thing is maybe a little bit more nuanced, which is, do you really need the app? Right? You think this is cool, and maybe you do need this type of app, but maybe there are other ways that using the standard Business Central functionality that you can accomplish the same thing.
Don't be afraid to talk to your partner. You know what I mean? Talk to your partner. They have a little bit more knowledge than you for this sort of thing, and they can point you in the right direction. I mean, if this can be handled like this particular one by using the Edit in Excel or Rapid Start, these are familiar tools that everybody knows works. Why not use them? Why try something new? Plus, you're going to have to pay a subscription cost with this. Is it really something that you want to do for however long? But
Yep. So this was our first experience with this. We've been looking at apps for a while, and our first
really
kind of
experience.
Lack of experience.
I didn't get to try it out.
There
So
you go. So next month we'll try to find an app that works, huh?
Yeah, we'll try. But speaking of things that have changed and not working, what's your thought on the beer as we keep drinking a little bit more and more and more?
What's funny is we started off, so we took the beer out of the fridge and brought it in and popped them open. What I've noticed is that it definitely smells more chocolatey.
Yes.
And has more of that flavor. There's more
Yes.
flavor in there than at the very beginning. And I think, like most stouts, they're, I think, designed to be served at a warmer temperature than, say, U.S. domestic Pilsner or something.
So we were serving it just a little bit too cold, maybe, and
I think so.
so we're amateurs.
Yeah, you can also smell. You mentioned like a little bit of coffee, right?
Yeah, you know what? I
That's that
yeah.
roasted.
When I drink it, I got the pairing of coffee with the chocolate. But you can definitely smell a lot more chocolate now. It even tastes a lot more chocolate.
Tastes different, yeah.
Has your rating changed?
Yeah, I'm gonna lower my rating because I'm getting tasting that sweetness.
Coming to you, the sweetness
is getting to me, and that which it seems to do. So I'll stick with my 75 officially, but off the record, that's definitely going down at least 10 points.
So would you buy it again?
I would buy it again as like for a special occasion, or if I knew someone who might appreciate this as a different type of beer.
Gotcha. Thanksgiving or something, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. But I'm definitely not going to go out and
You're not going out of your way to get it
as an everyday beer.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm going to stick with my rating. It's a little bit more chocolatey, a little bit more sweet, but I still don't mind it. Not my favorite, not my least favorite, so we'll keep it. So we're back with, which is becoming one of my more favorite segments, and it is the Stump Ken question segment. He's not allowed to use Google.
Bing?
No, we'll pass on Bing too. So this month, the question comes from Crystal in Wisconsin. And Crystal writes, "Hi, we are thinking about upgrading the Business Central Cloud. We have offices in 3 other countries besides the US and would need 4 production environments with 1 tenant to manage region-specific Business Central versions for finances based on the legal requirements in those countries. Is this possible with Business Central? Can she have 4 production environments with the same tenant?"
4 production environments with the same tenant.
Yeah. I know in your head you're probably thinking, why? But let's see. So region-specific Business Central version. So I'm assuming they want to use the Business Central version specific to France or Germany instead of having to set it up manually or whatnot. So they need 4 production environments.
This is a good one here.
All right.
In one, I mean, you could have 4 environments. You're saying, but
one environment, 4 production. Not 4 companies.
You gave me so you kind of messed up a little bit. You gave me a yes or no question, which means that I've got a 50-50 chance.
You got a
getting
50-50
this right.
chance, yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say yes. All right, the answer is No.
Nah.
With the latest release of Business Central, you can only have up to 3 production environments, not 4.
Oh, come on.
And in the coming future, Microsoft will allow you to have more.
So if I had 3,
the answer would have been
then
yes.
it was a yes.
Yeah.
But because I added a 4th one,
Yep.
the answer is no.
So, Crystal, we're sorry. The answer is no right now for cloud.
I guess stay tuned for the next set of updates, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think Ken's going to have another beer here. He got one wrong.
You did it. Congratulations.
5 for 6 now.
And now you've stoked my competitiveness. We're gonna have a Stump Michael question next month.
All right, related to marketing. So also, we'll do a little recap too since we're doing it. We had a lot of information about Business Central this week, so it's all going to be in the show notes. We talked about a replace app for Business Central they weren't really able to use, team members and what their capabilities were. We talked about some updates for the on-premise version as well as the cloud version for Business Central. Ken got the Stump question wrong. And next month, we're going to be talking about a recap from NAVUG/BCUG because we plan on being out there this month. So stay tuned for that. And anything else you want to add to that, my friend?
No, just that we're looking forward to hanging out with some users and other partners at the conference in a couple weeks. Come back with as much news and info as we can. And hopefully next month we'll have some more updates on the rollout of Wave 2.
Yeah.
And maybe if there's any news or things that we need to share.
And if you see Ken at NAVUG, try to stump him.
Please do.
Good luck, but you can at least try.
If you could at least do as well as Michael and give me a 50-50 question, I
You got
appreciate
it.
it.
All right, take care, everybody.
See you next time.